Since 1986, the National Hispanic Media Coalition has fought for a fairer and more inclusive media industry for Latinos. It has worked toward diversifying the media workforce. Its aim is to do away with negative stereotypes and provide affordable access to open communications for all people of color.
Unless we are there and advocating for our own people, nobody else is going to do it. We're going to be in the same place that we've been all these years, as less than, as rapists, as drug lords, as everything that is wrong in America. We cannot have that happen again.
The coalition's most recent campaign against hate speech in media targets Donald Trump over his views on the nation's immigrants.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
How we are perceived is always going to be the way that we are treated.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall.
It is about him saying those things that hurt our image, especially with those people that don't know us. This guy is a racist.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
He's being an irresponsible person by saying whatever he wants to say, whenever he wants to say it. He is trying to get a constituency that believes in that kind of nonsense.
In an open meeting on June 26 of last year, the NHMC, along with its multi-coalition allies, met with top NBC Entertainment executives, telling the network to sever all its business ties with Trump. 3 days later, NBC announced it would no longer be the home for Trump's Miss USA and Miss Universe pageants. NBC also fired Trump from the show Celebrity Apprentice, saying it had no tolerance for discrimination. Previously, Macy's and Univision had also cut their ties with Trump. At the coalition's MediaCon event last year, just a few days after NBC's announcement, NBC Entertainment Chairman Robert Greenblatt was applauded for that move. But the coalition's crusade against Trump didn't stop there. It urged the PGA of America, among other world and national golf associations, to suspend all tournaments on Trump's courses. The PGA responded by pulling the Grand Slam from Trump's Palos Verdes golf course.
They don't want to be associated with someone that is so obviously racist.
Meanwhile, the Trump Organization threatened to sue the coalition if it didn't cease its advocacy efforts against it.
Pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
But the coalition didn't stand down on its defense of the American Latino community, joining the national and growing Dump Trump campaign. Last November, the coalition, along with LULAC and other advocacy organizations, demonstrated in New York City against NBC's decision to invite Trump to host Saturday Night Live.
We think that NBC is making a big mistake. I think they're going for ratings.
More than 500,000 signatures were collected nationwide, urging NBC to drop Trump from the show. This time, NBC did not relent, and Trump remained as host.
When you put somebody as a host of a show like Saturday Night Live that has been on the air for generations, you are legitimizing that person.
This is very damning. This is very insidious, not only to Latinos, but also to the American public as a whole. We have kept our eye on him, and we're not going to stop.
He's talking about the scene showcase.
And the coalition will not stop its efforts to improve diversity in film. This after the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences recently came under fire when in a second year in a row, no person of color was nominated for an Oscar in any of the top 4 acting categories. The snub sparked one of the biggest controversies in the history of the Academy, leading to widespread outrage, a celebrity-driven boycott, and the Academy voting on new changes to increase women and minorities in its ranks.
As Viola Davis said last year accepting her Emmy Award, you cannot win an award for a role that is not there. So we seek to change the production side of the problem. And we ask, why are there so few good roles in American film for people of color?
At a press conference earlier this month, the NHMC, along with its multi-ethnic media coalition partners, American Indians in Film and Television, and the Asian Pacific American Media Coalition, is calling on the major motion picture studios. That includes Sony, Warner Brothers, Fox, Universal, Paramount, and Disney, to enter discussions at bringing full diversity to on- and off-camera jobs, including executive ranks. The problem, the coalition argues, originates with the film studios.
95% of the people that are there are white, 90% are males. So they're going to bring in films that are familiar to them.
In 2000, the Multi-Ethnic Media Coalition signed historic memorandums of understanding with the major television networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and since have issued annual report cards grading them publicly on their diversity and inclusion efforts. The coalition intends to do the same now with those film studios. This Oscar firestorm shows how many battles remain. According to a 2015 Writers Guild of America West report, only 2.8% of writers on primetime network television are Latino. In response to the lack of diversity in writers' rooms, Univision and Televisa recently announced sponsorship of 4 NHMC programs, including the Policy Fellowship programs in D.C. and a new TV Writers Graduate Program. It will continue the coalition's original Writers Program, now in its 13th year.
The program has been very successful. 130 writers have completed the program, and of those writers, 25% of them have been staffed at least once on a show. So we have writers on shows on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, all the major network television shows, and more recently with the digital outlets, Hulu and Netflix as well.
As a way to highlight the talent of the coalition's writers, as well as Latino actors, Univision and Televisa are also underwriting the Latino Scene Showcase, a program in partnership with the NHMC and the Los Angeles Theater Center. The writers write, then the actors act, all for TV network executives, talent agents, and casting directors, in hopes of finding work through representation in front or behind the cameras.
Out of this program, we know for sure, at least this past year, at least 5 actors have been repped. It's making an impact little by little, and hopefully it keeps growing every year and we're able to showcase more talent.
After years of persistence and perseverance, victory. And last year, the coalition and its allies celebrated one victory, preserving equality on the internet. It is called net neutrality and was achieved when the FCC reclassified internet service providers as non-discriminatory common carriers. It opens doors to make internet service more affordable for millions of Latinos and others who remain unconnected and have faced discrimination in traditional media.
The open internet has allowed Americans to engage in our democracy at a whole new level. Dreamers, organizers of Black Lives Matter are all excellent examples of regular people who have harnessed the power of the open internet to disseminate their messages and engage in the political process. This is democracy and free speech at work, and it is a virtue deserving of the strongest protections.
Today, net neutrality is being challenged in the U.S. Court of Appeals, and no matter the opposition, the coalition will continue its efforts to protect the internet of uncompetitive practices. Also in D.C., the coalition recently advocated for more equitable broadcast ownership rules that would increase opportunities for women and people of color.
Latinos held a majority interest in only 3% of full-power television stations in 2013, despite accounting for 17% of the population. Congress should promote diversity in broadcasting by encouraging the FCC to strengthen its media ownership rules and perform the research and analysis necessary to create new diversity initiatives.
After 30 years of hard-fought battles, crusades, and victories, there is further work still to be done by the National Hispanic Media Coalition. Yet so much to be proud of. The coalition will forge ahead for a world in which media is more inclusive, fair, and accessible for all people of color.
I come from a generation that saw signs up and down the state of California that said no dogs or Mexicans allowed. Imagine what that does to your psyche as a child. We can never go back to that way at having others look at us. We're having us, our children, look at themselves that way. And by that I mean less than, second class. So it is about writing this picture, this perception of who we are, extending it, distributing it, so our kids can see themselves in a whole different light, and the non-Latino public will see us in a different light. I am very hopeful that things are going to change. I think that we will have a better day.